Does the military really pay for your college? That's the question. It sounds almost too good to be true. When you think about it, D1 schools pay full ride scholarships to people who can perform a sport at the highest level. So now you're telling me that the average Joe C minus student from the neighborhood high school can join the military and get their college paid for. No questions asked. How plausible is that? Hi, my name is Gary, and this is Military Illumination, a podcast where we talk about the thing that the military doesn't want you to know about. And today, our discussion is going to be the college payment trap, I guess you can say. I'm ready to go. I got my coffee poured. It's decaf, of course, because I talk fast already. If I drink coffee, I'd be like off the charts. The lights are dimmed, the lights and the curtains are open. So let's just have a quick conversation about the military and this thing about paying for college. I decided to take my dogs. I just finished a podcast, but then I decided I wanted to do one back to back. Really no script, just from my heart, if I can say that, from real life, and just pose the question, do they really pay for it? I got to admit that I'm a product of the military. I'm a product of getting my college paid for. And I also did some schooling while I was in the military. One thing that one thing I can say is that they do pay for it, right? I got my paid based on because it was the vocational rehabilitation based on injuries I sustained while I was in the military. I'm a vet. I'm a disabled vet. So to help retrain me, they agreed to send me back to school as part of the vocational rehab program. I limp like crazy now, but I guess. And basically how it went was they don't pay for all of it. Okay. That's the first thing. They paid for my college because I had less than 3 years left to go. That's how I was able to get a bachelor's degree. I was due diligent when I was in the military, and I went and took classes at whenever I could. And in the end, when they put all my credits together, I had enough for a year of junior college at Pierce College here in Washington. And then I had 2 more years to finish up my Central Washington degree. Now, had I not had that, I would not have been able, they would not have paid for my college. Because here's the catch one. They would only pay for 3 years. The government will only pay for 3 years. And then that has stipulations. That has trip and whatever. I went in the military because I wanted my college to be paid for, right? I was poor. I can go down that road. The average, I'm what basically the military looks for. Poor, broke, and from a big family. And the recruiter did tell me that I could have a job in the daytime, a shift job, and then go to school at night because my brothers all went in and they had shift jobs. And that's what I told the SOB that. He ended up putting me in this field unit, combat support unit. And guess what? Deployed city, always gone. And when was it going to be? On top of that, my company commander wouldn't approve my going to school when I was a private. I had to wait almost 4 years. I did some corresponding courses. That's why they had corresponding courses. You can see how old I am. So that's what we're dealing with. So do they pay for it? They will pay for it up to a certain amount, right? They will pay for it up to a certain amount around 3 years. You can do your research, right? But you can get waivers. You can petition it for longer. But guarantee you, they're going to fight you on that one. That's the first thing, okay? The second thing is, naturally, the military branches don't send you to college. Everything goes through the Veterans Administration, the Department of Veterans Affairs, another government agency with a lot of bureaucracy, okay? So the VA is what all the programs run through. The military, they're just the front guys. They're just, would you say, the distributor of the opportunity of going to college. But the actual performance comes down to another government agency, the Department of Veterans Affairs. It's one of those things that bureaucracy, you got to apply, there's a lot of red tape there. So you have to understand that there's going to be red tape, that you may not qualify. You may not get everything. the school that you qualify for may not be on their list. I read where it said about $20,000 for a private education. If you want to if you want to use your benefits on private college, they'll pay up to $20,000. Honestly, there's not a private college. Well, I shouldn't say that. Hey, all right, a private college where you get $20,000 a year, it ain't happening. All right. So once again, another red flag about the military paying for college. It's not cut and dry. It's not guaranteed. So I just happened to my degree was in law and justice and everything. Basically, when they gave me the testing, that's the area that I scored on that I would be good for that field. That's another reason why they paid for it. Seeing a lot of ums here. That's the first thing. Is first of all, you got to qualify. Then you have to go through the red tape of the Veterans Administration. Okay. Then you have to be able to sustain it and maintain a GPA that's high enough. I think it was a C average, right? You have to maintain a C average unless you're super motivated. And can you maintain a C average? So once you get through that threshold of C average, if you fall below that, you're going to have issues. So it's not guaranteed. If you're in the military and you don't get out with the right credentials, when you're on a DD-214, if it's not honorable, if it's anything less than honorable, you might have issues getting your benefits. That's another pitfall. If you don't get out under 100% honorable discharge, anything below that, which is your DD-214, which follows you throughout your rest of your life, they'll bury you with you in your grave, you're gonna have issues with it. Okay. The other thing would be that, and I think this is a big one. So we dealt with right now, it's not the service that you're entering that's paying for it. It's going through a program through the government agencies, and it's going to come through, end up at the desk of the VA, Department of Veterans Affairs, where you still have to qualify, you still have to jump through some hoops. It's not guaranteed, and the process may take longer than you need to be, which means that if you get out in January, let's say in June, and you want to start your education in September, you may have issues. It may not move it that fast. There may be glitches that will hold it up. Your school might not accept it. There's a lot of things that goes wrong with it. It happened to me. I missed a couple of sessions because the money wasn't right there. Things wasn't happening, and it wasn't guaranteed. Sometimes you got to come out of your pocket. Sometimes you got to come out of your pocket for stuff. Okay. I had to pay for my gown. I had to pay for my books. That came out of my pocket, right? Now they gave me an allowance, I think it's a living expenses allowance, right? Yeah. But you're paying a lot. You pay for things out of your pocket. That's the thing as you go through it. I would say, here's another factor. This is the other side. You go in, you're 18. Let's say you get out at 22, 4 years, or at 26 when you go the whole 8 years, okay? Or whenever you get 10 years in. Are you still going to be the same if you're single, person with no bills, with no issues, no problems, as you were when you went in, fresh out of high school? Chances are, no. You're going to have accumulated some debt. You're going to have your living expenses. You're going to be getting an apartment, a house, right? And if you're an established one and you got married and you have babies, right? Now you got a whole different issue to deal with now. So what I'm saying is this, is when you get out, you're still having to pay for stuff. You're still going to have to work a job. Yeah, they may give you some money, but that's only going to take you so far. That's only going to take you so far. The housing allowance, they do pay for some up to a certain amount, right? And that's if you're in school. If you're not, like in the summertime, you may not get that money. So you got to be thinking about this college thing they're paying for. What's coming along with it? Are you getting out of the military with debt? Where you got to raise a family. You got to go to school at the same time you're working. Something to think about, to tell you the truth. It happened with me, living it. My son was in school, in grade school. I had a house to pay for. I had bills. I had a lot of stuff. I was getting disability, but that wasn't much then. And yeah, I worked. I found jobs where I could study. Don't tell nobody that. I was a security guard for a while. But yeah, you work a graveyard shift, you go lay down for an hour or two, took my son to school, and he was in private school. And then I went on to my classes and I got home about the same time he got home and got enough a little bit of nap. It was a couple years, just 4 or 5 hours of sleep on the average. So you got to be thinking about that. The other thing you got to be thinking about is the cost of college, right? How much are you going to be? How much are they going to be paying you, and what's the cost of the college that you're going to be going to, right? Is it going to be? Is it going to be covered? You go into 18, college. Last time I checked, college has not gotten cheaper; it's got more expensive, right? It's gotten more expensive. So now you got to realize that, okay, am I going to be hurt by the inflation? So I have dogs that you might hear in the background. Anyway, anyways, what we're talking about is what's your lifestyle going to be like? It's great when you're 18 or 19, you're going in, but things change in 4 years, 8 years, 6 years. And who knows, you get deployed and something happens to you and where you're not able to cognitively think for yourself or take advantage of that situation. Now, the flip side, I think you can look at it on. So I did a lot of research. I spent a lot of time looking for the gotchas so I can bring it on my show here. This, and how you say it, throw mud on it or throw shade on it. But really, what I found out was that all the websites you're out there, they're parroting the same thing, right? But they're parroting the same thing. They're saying, yes, you can. And they're giving all the reasons, right? But what they're missing the point is to read between the lines. What they're not saying are the gotchas. What they're not saying is what could happen. What they're not sharing is what you need to do to prepare yourself. Everybody's saying, yeah. And I'm saying the same thing because I'm a product of that one. But what I'm saying is this, it's not guaranteed. The government is bureaucracy. You got to fight for what you want. They're going to make mistakes. You may be denied. Yeah, you can get denied those benefits, even though you signed up for them. There's a lot of things. It's not clean. It's not clean cut and dry. It's not. Because you deal with the military. You deal with the government. They'll say anything to get you in. But in the end, all those same people will not be around when you're by yourself and you're out and you're trying to get those benefits. You're going in thinking it's slam dunk. You just got to submit your paperwork. But what you're going to find out is that's not the truth. You're going to hit roadblocks. You're not going to get started on time. The classes that you are going to have, you may not. If you went to school while you were in the military, those credits might not transfer because they're different locations. And so that's another thing you got to look at for if you're going to be going to school while you're in. Honestly, if you're highly motivated to complete college, I don't know what the heck are you doing in the military. Yeah, I did it because I had no one telling me otherwise. I didn't have no one in my corner. My whole family was military. That's what you did. No one has ever been to college. Nobody ever graduated. I did. I'm the only one out of 10. All right? And there's no reason why I should have been in, but that's a different story. Right? So if you're highly motivated and if you're an individual that's what you want, it's something you always wanted to be, and it doesn't seem like there's another way, the only way is the military, think again. There's so much opportunities out there. There's so much opportunities. For once, there's a lot of jobs right now. Let me back it real fast. If you're in the military, okay, right now you can go to, they didn't have when I was in the military, online school. But you're still going to have issues with availability and completing the workload because of the military schedule. You're basically working 20, you go on an exercise, you're going to be, I don't know. Basically, what I'm saying is this. Your military commitment has to come first, and they work like a dog, 18 hours at least, sometimes even longer. You get deployed. You're not in the mix. It's going to be a mentally strain on you. Why not just get a job, work part-time someplace, go to community college, pay it as you go, look for grants that you don't have to pay back, apply for scholarships. There's a ton of scholarships out there that you can apply for. It's just free money. It's free money with no strings attached. Maybe just some essays. There's a lot of companies right now that will pay for some of your colleges. Yeah, there's a lot of companies out there. Find out the companies that will pay for college, how much, and in what circumstances, and attach yourself to those people. And there's work study while you're in when you're in schools. there's a lot of things. There's a lot of money out there. You just got to visit your community college. You don't have to start at a 4-year university. You don't have to go all big. Start at a little small rinky-dink college down on Main Street someplace. Pay for a little bit. Go work a little harder. Work some extra hours. You're doing the same thing in the military, right? You're paying for it. You just don't realize it. Those benefits that you're getting, you're paying taxes. Gotcha. So do some research. The military isn't the only game in town. It's the only one in your ear. They're hanging that candy in front of you attached to patriotism. But there's a lot of trades out there that the union has apprenticeships that make big dollars. They have training for you. That's all you really need is just training, something that you want to do. And maybe you don't need to go to a college, a liberal college. You can go to a vocational school or community college, right? And then transfer into the 4-year university. People are never going to know. You don't know how you got there. They just know at the end of the year, the end of your time, your diploma is going to say that university. That's how I did it. And that's how a person can do it as well. So on the flip side, does the military pay for it? With a lot of strings attached. It's, I don't know, like a hook. You can think about this fish and this big old hook, the big old bass, the hook, they hooked it and they got you. But you don't have to give up your life. And it's not guaranteed. And you have to go through bureaucracy. I got mine paid for because I put some skin in the game. I had enough credits to go get my associates with about, I think it's about a year. And that's kind of what I'm thinking. That's what I'm saying for you is this. When you want to go in the military, go in because you want to serve. No string attached. Go in because you want to serve. That you just want to be in there. When you start saying, they're going to get this for me, they're going to do this for me, I'm going to get this, then you're thinking wrong. You're thinking wrong, okay? And that's going to get you in trouble because you will be disappointed. I don't care what you think, you will be disappointed because what it's in our mind, what in reality is two different things. All right? Anyways, hey, thanks for letting me ramble on. On the next episode, I'm going to get right back to the mix with this contract. But this time, I want to look at the military justice system and how having a military lawyer is worse than having a public defender on your side. It's the kiss of death. Come learn about why. I will also give you an example with Mr. Captain Gregory Goodell. We'll talk about him, the little rascal. But anyways, until next time, I'm going to have the coffee pot going on. I'm going to have the lights turned down, the shades up, and we're just going to have a conversation about some things the military doesn't want you to know. Have a good day. Goodbye.